You're welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to our August the 18th, 2026 meeting. I will call the meeting to order. First order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Is there anything? Councillor Shippold.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. I have a couple of items I'd like to add. If I could, under correspondence for action, 9.5, which is correspondence from K Division, whether we want to set up an appointment with the leaders of K Division at the convention. And the second item I have is 9.6, which is an email from the Demo Derby folks about attending the Demo Derby. So if I could add those two, and if no one else has anything further to add, I'd so approve the agenda. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I just have one item I'd like to add as well for closed session. It would adjust the numbering, so my item would take 16.4, intergovernmental relations, an update with my from my conversation with Minister Nixon.
Okay. Is there anything further? Then Councillor Shippold.
Okay, then I'll also move the agenda with the amendments.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Our next item is our public hearing. I hereby declare the public hearing for bylaw 2026/12 open. This public hearing is being convened pursuant to the Municipal Government Act in order to consider the proposed bylaw 2026/12 A, bylaw to close a portion of 46th Street Road allowance for the purpose of closing public travel and disposing of a portion of the 46th Street Road allowance for the sale and consolidation with the adjoining parcel located immediately southwest of Lot 3, Block 2, Plan 0424622. At this hearing, the public will be allowed to make presentations to the council, and all persons present who believe that their interest is in the property is affected by the proposed bylaw shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to be present or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the proposed bylaw. Those who wish to speak concerning the proposed bylaw may address the council by clearly stating your name and address. Then you may give us the benefit of your view concerning the proposed bylaw. Comments and contents of all emails and letters received become part of the public record, as well as this public hearing, which is being live streamed. Should council require clarification on any issue raised by the public, council will call on the staff to further clarify the matter. The staff's comments will be limited to technical matters and should not be construed as support or in opposition to this development. Members of the council may, if they wish, ask questions of you following your presentation. However, the main function of council members today is to listen to the views of the public. It is not the function of council at this public hearing to debate the merits of the proposed bylaw with individual citizens. Everyone shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard at this meeting. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. Any person who wishes to present a written submission to council may do so. All those submissions will be retained by the secretary, and the copies of the submissions will be available upon request after this hearing. Administration, could you please introduce the bylaw?
Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning, Council. At the July 21st Council meeting, Council instructed administration to advertise a public hearing for today's date, August 18th, 2026, for bylaw 2026-12, being a bylaw to close a portion of the 46th Street Road allowance for the purpose of sale and consolidation with the adjacent parcel located at Lot 3, Block 2, Plan 0424622. The size of the parcel is 0.005 acres. So the report has been provided. I've outlined the legislative requirements under the Municipal Government Act. We did advertise in the local paper in the Mountaineer on July 29th, August 5th, and August 12th. We also did 2 circulations. We did a preliminary circulation to adjacent landowners and agencies prior to the previous council meeting, and a second one that was done after the council meeting, advertising the bylaw as well as providing notification of the public hearing today. As per the policy, we followed all of the requirements because it required a second circulation. The Municipal Government Act only requires the one, but we did the 2 because the policy didn't contradict the Municipal Government Act, so we followed policy on that. The report is presented for the purpose of receiving council's approval to proceed to first reading, subject to the public hearing today, and for council to approve the proposed road closure bylaw 2026/12 to be sent to the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors following first reading. In the policy, I've outlined sections 4 and 5. So 4 is where after the public hearing, with respect to the road closure bylaw taking place, council may give first reading for the bylaw. If first reading is not given, the request for road closure and sale application is denied and the sale agreement becomes null and void. And if first reading is given, the road closure bylaw at council's discretion will be sent to the Minister of Transportation for consideration and approval. During the preliminary circulation that was completed to adjacent landowners and agencies, our engineering department had no concerns. Clearwater County had no objections. The Alberta Historic Resources Branch had no concerns. Alberta Environment and Sustainable Resources, there were no concerns. Our path, which is Alberta Transportation, just indicated that we have to submit to them after first reading with all of the required documentation. AltaLink, no concerns. ATCO Gas, ATCO Pipelines, there were really no concerns noted. TC Energy said the current road closure location falls outside of the pre-screening buffer and it's not a concern for TC Energy. With the second circulation that was completed, there were also no concerns noted. There was one comment from CP Rail just indicating that anything outside of, like within 500 meters had to, they have a document that provides guidance, but this is well outside of that, so there were no concerns from CP Rail. One adjacent landowner's mail was returned. That address was incomplete. We did follow the address that was provided under the certificate of title, and we did confirm the addressing with utilities as well, but it still came back. I also heard from Clearwater Regional Fire Rescue Services yesterday, and they had no concerns. At the July 21st council meeting, council asked that we see if the assessor could provide an evaluation or an assessment of the property. He did put a value of $1,500. If and once the road closure bylaw is received back from the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, a report will be prepared for council for second and third reading, as well as a resolution to accept the valuation as presented by the assessor if council is satisfied. So really what we are doing is asking if council is willing to give first reading and a resolution to send the bylaw to the Minister of Transportation.
Thank you. Whereas there was no written correspondence?
Just what was provided in the report, and the only one that wasn't in the report was the comments from Clearwater Regional Fire Rescue Services, which was received yesterday, and there was no concerns.
Okay, we have no public here today to speak on this, so does council have any technical questions for administration, please? Seeing none, Could I ask for a motion to close the public hearing? Counselor Stalker,
I move that we close the public hearing,
for bylaw.
for bylaw 2026-12, proposed road closure.
Thank you. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is closed. Okay,
Thank you, Your Worship.
thank you. Mr. Kraus, point of order, we now do for first reading.
Mayor, that's actually scheduled for 8.1 in the agenda.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Our next item, we have no delegations today. Adoption of the previous minutes. Is there any additions or deletions to the last? Councilor Musker.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we accept or adopt the regular council meeting minutes of August the 4th, 2026 as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Our next item is 7.1, municipal comparisons. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This item was requested by Councillor Stalker to be put on the agenda. I'll go through a little bit. I just wanted to prepare some background before you have the discussion on sort of, I guess, what it is that you're wanting to do with this. So basically, there are 3 municipal indicator sites that the province of Alberta currently operates. One is called the Municipal Measurement Index, which is the MMI. The other is called the Financial Indicator Graphs, or FIG, and the other is the Municipal Indicators, MI. In the past, I have put actually all 3 in the budget document. The last couple years, I haven't used the MMI just because it's difficult to download and format. So every year we do give you the FIG graphs, and the MI is that sort of little one-page report card that they do with the different indicators, whether they're red or green, to show whether you've passed them or not. So these indicators are produced every year, and the goal is to kind of highlight aggregate performance measurement. And they provide, I find they provide useful information and kind of give you a big, high, 10,000-foot view of how you're doing within the municipalities. I always like to use them in the budget, more just to show you that whether you're on the right track. You know, sometimes there's individual differences that make it difficult to be right on the median or whatever, but the MMI index that I think Councillor Stalker was referring to, when you go on to it, you put your name or the town name in, and then it does say you could use plus or minus 10. It assigns a number out of 100, and that a reasonable comparison is being plus or minus 10, which is a pretty wide range. The financial indicator graphs, and they're the ones that you've seen in your budget document, and I did confirm with the municipal affairs, those graphs, when you put your name in, they give you a comparison against all towns in Alberta. So on those graphs, there's a maximum and a gray shaded area that's your maximum and minimum, and then a median. So it's kind of showing you the extremes within the province and then aggregating it out. And I think Councillor Stalker, he and I did have a discussion. He was looking at what an appropriate comparators would be. So over the last 7 years, we've used a list of comparative towns that were originally coming out of the financial indicator graphs. And just to mention, they're all online and you can go in and look at them whenever you want. So Town of Rocky Mountain House has been assigned a ranking of 77, and I do have a table attached to this that kind of shows if you, start at 77 and move out, how many communities would be included? If you did the full plus or minus 10, you'd end up with 55 towns, which is huge. I don't know that all of them would be actually comparable. One thing to note is every town has unique features that can sometimes drive these comparisons. I downloaded all the financial information that the province gives you, these spreadsheets where everything that's in the financial statements is all collated for every town and city in the province. It's quite large. And, just looking at that, I saw that there was things that drive it. In our financial statements, we include capital revenue, for example, in the revenue on the income statement. Well, this last year, we included $10.8 million of grant revenue that was for the wastewater treatment plant. So it's showing our revenue as being, significantly higher than what the real operating revenue is. And so those are things that, I think when you're looking at these, you just have to be aware that there can be anomalies. Just thinking about it, I know we had spoken about Pinoca, and Pinoca is, similar in size. They own their own wires within the town and run their own electrical distribution. So their property tax rates may be slightly lower because they have the benefit of having profits from that wire service being drawn into the operating. So I guess just a caution, and we all have to be careful with it. But the attached table, I kind of tried to give you some numbers and towns so that you could see what's comparable. And it's absolutely, council, if you wish to change the indicators or the municipalities that we have been comparing, I think that's the purpose of the discussion today. So on the table, I listed a whole bunch down of municipalities down the left-hand side. I've shown their MMI ranking just so that you can see what it is. The first column is the original comparators. So those are the communities that in the past we've used when we do comparisons. Plus or minus 1 shows the communities that would fall in if you were plus or minus 1. Then I did plus or minus 2, that would give you 16. Plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, 7, and 8. One thing I did find, just before you do your discussions, is once you start getting up in the larger 3, 4, 7, and 8 comparisons, some of the municipalities that are lower than, I would say, Westlock, so below 74, I question, I'm not sure why the province would say they're comparable. Those municipalities are starting to get fairly small in size, I didn't look up their populations, but, for instance, Claresholm is, actually I probably have their populations, but, they're under, say, 4,000 people. So some of your economies of scale and different things like that are going to start to be lost or be significantly different. So anyways, I guess that's what this graph is. I also did sort of an internal analysis, and this one, I went and I pulled certain things out of all of the financial data that the province collects and just tried to, just real high level, looked at population, private dwellings, equalized assessment, some of the tax rates. They weren't all available, and total revenue and expenses. And then sort of looked at, okay, how does this fit? And basically anything under 49%, like the lower the percent, the better the fit. And I've included those on the last column just to show you, if you do a little different comparison, you get a little different range. So I don't know if there's a right or wrong to any of this. Sometimes, sorry, one more thing and then I'll let you, quite often we've excluded, Banff. Banff falls into this. I didn't even put it on the graph. because they're so different than any other municipality in Alberta. But anyways, that's sort of some background, I guess, to let you open up the discussion.
Okay. Councillor Stalker.
I was hoping that Laura might be able to bring up the actual municipal index, because there's 12 different, is there a chance you could bring that up? Oh, Tracy has that, sorry, I apologize. And the reason I kind of wanted to go here is because when I started looking at this tool, the government already is analyzing 12 different metrics in relation to communities, and us being 77, if you just used 76 through 78, so we can have 11 communities, and that was listed there on page 14. You can see with Ponoka, Devon, Rocky Mountain, and Slave Lake. One of the things that when we first got on, we talked about wanting to have metrics in place that will be meaningful around our development and economic development, and we talked about doors and the ability to look at, how many doors, how many houses are going to be developed. I started thinking about that, and we just arbitrarily said, we want to have a 20% increase in building permits, I think was what we landed on, but it doesn't matter just from the discussion point. This metrics, or this, the MMI index actually takes those comparator communities and actually has the building permits, the development permits. When Tracy is able to bring this up, I'll just read you what it's comparing. It's comparing the residential tax rate, the non-residential tax rate, municipal tax levy, composition of assessment, municipal debt per capita, long-term debt, revenue and expenses, accumulated surplus, business licenses. And this is the area that I thought was really valuable for us to compare to similar communities that the government of Alberta has analyzed and said these are very similar. Business license, development permits, building permits, and subdivision applications. And I think it gives us a far better understanding how we're doing in relation to similar communities. With that said, if we can go to this paper, they're bringing up the other one. If you look at that column 2, the plus or minus, I pulled that up before and looked at, is Devon a good comparator? Oh, good, we're almost there. If we can go to the MMI indicators.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Betty. I didn't realize you were on it. I thought Tracy was on it. And I'm looking at that column, that 76 to 78 index. There's Ponoka, Devon, Rocky Mountain, Slave Lake, Bonnyville, High Level, Red Cliff, Stettler, Wainwright, Diamond Valley, and Didsbury. And what I was hoping we could do is kind of narrow that down, because I don't sense, in my opinion, that Devon and Diamond Valley, which are both bedroom communities of Edmonton, I mean, they're certainly a large enough community, they're a comparator, but I think that they're close enough to Edmonton that I don't think it's a comparator. And what I was hoping we could do is narrow it down to something that's manageable. Is 11 manageable? Probably, but something, 8 or 10. And then if we can go up on the top scale, the one that goes across all the way, Betty, up above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there one in particular you want to look at?
Pardon? Yes, if we can go along the top scale, you will see where it says 2025? Yes, if we can go over to the left, the other way, and bring up municipal indicators. It'll be the second one in that list, I think. The one next to it up above, on that list above? Yes, that one. There's what's being compared. So if we're using the index of 77, and there's about 4 or 5 communities that are actually 77 direct comparisons, as Betty has pointed out, 10 is just a massive number, 40 or more, and that's what you're comparing, and this is where I think the real value is. if,
Sorry, I
Sorry.
didn't listen to you. I picked plus or minus 4 just to give
yes,
you a.
yeah, plus
So
or
there's
minus 4
plus or-
gives us, what,
there's plus or
24
minus
different
4.
communities, and I think that is far too many to work with. I don't think we need that many for that. If we can go back to, hit to that indicator at the top again, the municipal indicator, the one to the right of that below, to the right of that, to the right of those across on that tab, the next one.
Sorry, I
that
gotta
one,
run the
yes.
mouse, yeah.
And if we can hit building permits, this is going to build, Betty was using, I think, plus or minus 4. This is gonna tell you the building permits that are being issued in those communities. It actually didn't do that. You have to, oh, thank you, Betty, you just opened one. If you can open that one, oh, might have done it by mistake. You can see there that it talks about number of permits issued and number of applications. And you can start to get down where I think it really helps us as a council to say, if we find a place that the building permits are, let's say, tenfold what we're doing, I think it will really give us a chance to stop and go, why is, let's say Pinoka, why is Pinoka experiencing that great growth of building permits? Might be something simple, they've had a big factory come in, and just gives us a little more information to try and get economic development on track for us as a council by looking at communities that are the same size, have the same revenue and expenses per capita, long-term debt, accumulated surpluses, all of those 12 indicators. I just think that, in my opinion, I think 76 to 78 will suffice us very well. That's 11 communities to look at. There's some communities there I don't think are, Red Cliff is right outside of Medicine Hat, I believe, and again, I'd say it's a bedroom community, we could eliminate that, but Pinoka, Slave Lake, Bonnyville, Stettler, Wainwright, and Didsbury, although Didsbury's on the corridor, which I think is one of the things that we have to weigh. I think we need to kind of look at that. We could do 75 to 79, which is 16 communities, eliminate some of the ones that we say, like I said, Diamond Valley, Devon are right outside cities. I mean, they're just going to experience growth because of that. So that's what I was hoping we could get from this, is once we narrow down the towns that we're dealing with, then we could have a better understanding of if some of those towns are really excelling and accelerating with their economic growth, that we could look at what happened in that community. Was it a business that was attracted, and can we attract that same business here? Those type of things that might help us. That's where I was at.
Councillor Shipple.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. So I think where you're at here, so Betty's totally correct. Every community is different, and you've identified that because you've already picked out communities that you don't think fit the mold. So it's really difficult for comparing apples to apples. And I think where I'm at on this is that you've went a couple layers lower than I've ever went, looking at these numbers. I think what it's going to take is an individual to sit down and go through and hand pick what we would do. We can talk about it till the cows come home, and we're all going to use rationalization on this doesn't belong, that doesn't belong. I guess where I'm at is I would like to hand this to you and say, come back as what you think is 10 communities and sell me on the fact that this is why you think it should be those 10 communities. And then where we go is have a look as to building permits, all this stuff. I didn't even realize that this information was available. I've sat here for a few years. And so I guess where I'd really like to toss it back into your court to say, just do a little more homework and come back with 10, what you think is 10 people, 10 communities, and then sell that to us.
So I've done that homework. So I think we can maybe, not to prolong the discussion, if Betty, if we're doing that, could you bring up the residential tax rates just for, you use 75 through 79?
Sorry, I just
We'll bring
shot
up that
myself
list
out
of
of it.
residential tax rates. And Betty and I had quite a discussion. I mean, her knowledge is just second to none. And as the comparisons go on, there are all sorts, it's apples and oranges and all sorts of things. Looking at if you were arbitrarily picking a number of 10, I don't have any issue with 75 to 79. I never looked that large. I just looked at 76 to 78. But that's 16 communities. What I see that we offer here is we're the hub of commerce for this area. Red Deer's an hour away, and we need to have that commerce where if I was to go through that list now, and I'll go through the list of 76 to 78 on this paper here that we had, if you guys want to have a look at that. What I looked at is Devon is outside of, right outside of Edmonton, bedroom community. I think they're going to experience growth, residential growth, no matter what because of that. High Level, I believe, is a community that's, although it's on a corridor, a travel corridor, is far north. Red Cliff, again, is a bedroom community, and Diamond Valley. The other communities left behind are Pinoka, Rocky, Slave Lake, Bonnyville, Stettler, Wainwright, and Didsbury, I think are representative with all the variants of, we have a tourism industry that maybe Wainwright doesn't have. But with, we're going back to those 12 indicators that the government has provided and every year provides. I think those remainder, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, certainly provide a big enough base that we can go, what is happening in Wainwright, Alberta, that they're experiencing a boom? And it might be oil related, and that's nothing we can control, but it might be a business that's moved in there that also are looking to expand. And those are the kind of things that I think we can get to without a lot of effort, to try and look and say, okay, Wainwright's has a lot more business permits, or their residential tax rate has dropped. There's a really good one. Betty's brought up residential tax rates for our community compared to others. So let's say Wainwright's residential tax rate has dropped, and we have an opportunity to look at that and say, what is going on in Wainwright that they were able to do that? And maybe they closed down their swimming pool, and I don't know they have a swimming pool, and of course there's some overhead that's been saved. I think it is a deep dive. There's some effort to it, but I have no problem doing it and bringing it to council. What I was hoping as a council we could, because you look at, can we go back to that? I didn't mean to lose that. This is the tax rate of different towns. Banff is a comparator community in that list of 75 to 79. I don't think Banff is a comparator community under any circumstances that we'd want to use, because their commercial tax base is so huge. I mean, they don't have to, and their assessment is over $1 million for every house. With that said, their tax rate is their mill rate is 2.4. You can see High Level is 11.1. I'm just going to look for Slave Lake on there. I don't see it right now. I'm trying to pick it up.
Just below
Oh,
Rocky
Slave
Mountain
Lake
House.
is 10, is Slave Lake 10.1? No, it's 9.9.
9.0.
So Slave Lake has all new facilities and all sorts of things. So, you can say, okay, there's maybe the difference between those communities. For me, this list is too big to work with. I think if we honed it down to, like you said, 10 or 12 communities that we kind of go, Devon doesn't fit what our community is. We're the hub of commerce. Devon is not the hub of commerce. Wainwright is a hub of commerce. Stettler is a hub of commerce for that area. We're that hub of commerce. The town of Peace River is a hub of commerce for that area. High Level, in my mind, isn't. So I don't know if we want to do that as a group and come back and you guys can send it to me and I'll compile it, or if we want to do it at all.
Councilor Muscat.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to play off Councillor Chappelle's comments, this is a far deeper dive into this than I've ever done, and, but because it's important to you, Councillor Stalker, it's important to me. I would like to suggest that you put forward that list, and then maybe we can get administration to run the numbers based on the list you provided and compare it to the selection that administration is already using, just to see if there's any difference, and then we can look at why. Otherwise, I have no idea who to pick, but you've spent more time with this than I have. So I think we can move this along that way, just so that we can get some comparisons, the number, or the towns and municipalities we've been using for our comparators, and then the ones that you're suggesting, and just then see how they flesh out against each other. That's just my suggestion. Thanks.
Councilor Stalker.
So one of the things that kind of made me go here is when I was looking at the budget, we were using Sylvan Lake as a comparator. And I think Sylvan Lake spends 15 million. I went into their budget to look what it was. I think they spend like 15 million on enforcement. But they recoup it on their, you have to pay for parking and stuff. They're recouping it. And Betty and I talked about it, and it makes sense in that they're in the same geographic location. But I mean, Sylvan Lake, despite being considered a town, is a city. They have 12,000 people or more. I can't remember what the number, I looked it up. And those are the things that I'm looking at and going, okay, we're comparing with Sylvan Lake, but it's a comparison in location, but we really, again, another bedroom community that's going to experience growth. They're not the hub of commerce for that location. They're experiencing growth because of their on the corridor, located near Red Deer, or right next door to Red Deer. I guess what I'm having for a little difficulty is if I bring back a list, it's my perception, and there's 7 of us here, and I don't think my perception that High Level is not a comparator community, although it would be somewhat of a hub of commerce. I worked in that area in High Prairie, and Peace River was, the place people went to, I guess, or frankly, they went to Grand Prairie. If they're gonna go somewhere, they drove down. With that said, I don't know how to get it narrowed down, or if we're happy with 16, again, I'll go back to that list of 16 between 75 and 79. It contains Diamond Valley, Red Cliff, Morinville, and a couple of other ones that I would say, again, are not the center of commerce for that community. And I'm just trying to narrow it down so we don't have 15 or 20 ones, that we get down to 6 or 8 that we can go, yeah, Wainwright is a good comparison, Stettler is a good comparison. So I can bring it back, what I think are good comparisons, and see what that means. I just don't know that I'm the smartest guy on the team and would like some level of input from the rest of council.
Councilor Boniface.
Kevin, thank you, Mayor. Kevin, or Councillor Stalker, you have spent so much time on this. I think you kind of are the expert in here. But you've conferred with Betty. So I would like to see that you bring us back, because there's 7 of us here, bring us back 7. And we're going to a conference fairly soon, and we'll probably meet with some of the counselors from the towns that you bring, and we can just ask them and find out what they've got going on, and pick their brains and go that way.
Did you have some questions, Councilor?
I just had one
Councilor
more.
Stalker.
I think this might be the exact way to go about it, is going to that conference. We'll be able to talk with the folks in Stettler and just really get a sense of how close they are. I can certainly work with Betty a little bit to hone down some things and put some parameters why I believe Devon should be out and get those down. I really thank you for your time on this because Councilor Chappelle has said about, why is that business moving somewhere else? And frankly, I think we need to really plug into the successes other communities are having, and this might give us a chance to really get a meaningful number for building permits, or new builds of houses. We want an X number. I think we're better off comparing ourselves to other communities that are very similar and using that as a comparison. That Stettler had 4 houses built or 10 houses built, and we've had 15. We're doing well. So if the rest of council's okay with that, I think this isn't something that has to happen today at all. And I think we can have that. I'll bring back a list of towns that I think are there, and when we go to conference, try and search those people out and really flesh out whether we sense that that is the center of commerce. Because that was the kicker for me, is Sylvan Lake's geographically located here, but we really have nothing in common in relation to that other than the geographic aspect.
Okay, thank
We're
you.
up to that.
Councillor Boniface.
Again, yeah, I don't think you need to do too much more about it, like it's all definitely apples and oranges type thing, but I think we've already identified what's close to what we are, and ask all of them. They all have some great ideas, I'm sure.
Would you like to make the motion?
I'm not sure what the motion sounds like.
That you'll look into it further, or do you want us to accept it for information purposes at this time?
Are we at an information purposes, or would you like me to look into it further as council?
I think it's fine if you look into it further.
I can do that. I'll make the motion that I will continue to explore the comparative communities under the MMI, the Municipal Index Indicators, and bring that back before council at a later date.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is new business. Our first one is the bylaw 2026/12 road closure.
Thank you, Your Worship. I won't go through the report again, but following the public hearing and closure of the public hearing, and being that no concerns were brought forward, I'd like to make a recommendation that council review the alternatives and recommended action and make a resolution.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
I'm going to go right ahead and say, may it be resolved that council give first reading to road closure bylaw 2026-12, being a bylaw to close a portion of 46th Street road allowance for the purpose of sale and consolidation with an adjacent parcel located immediately southwest at Lot 3, Block 2, Plan 0424622, and at 0.005 acres.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Musker?
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe nitpicking, but just a correction, you said southwest at Lot 3, it is southeast at Lot 3.
Thank you, Councillor. I did, maybe perhaps did. I make the
Actually,
amendment.
if I could speak to that, you are correct, it is actually, the lot is southwest of that's an error on my part, I apologize. So it is actually southwest.
Then I retract my,
You knew it way out in front.
Councillor Sheffield? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Motion's on the table. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Sheffield?
Well, after that coinky dink, anyhow, we're going to carry on to the second motion on this item, and that is to be, let it be resolved, the council instruct administration to send a road closure bylaw 2026/12 to Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors for approval.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is 8.2, architectural guidelines.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor and Council. Just before Council today in regards to architectural guidelines, April 7th Council meeting, Council gave direction to administration to do a survey with property owners, developers, business owners, as well as residents for feedback as far as direction in regards to architectural guidelines. Since 2011, we've had architectural guidelines in place, but they were voluntary, or we encouraged businesses to follow that theme from the 2011 guidelines. With the help of the communications team, we did do a survey via email to the developers, business owners, property owners. We sent out about 50 emails to them. And also then in July, we did residential survey through social media. In total, we got 39 responses to the survey. The responses are attached to the report. It's about 50-50 in regards to support and not supporting the architectural guidelines moving forward. I guess, is there any questions in regards to the survey and comments in regards to what we heard for feedback? And I guess it's for discussion for council moving forward. There are some recommendations, alternatives there that I've included in my report, but I'll let council have discussion in regards to architectural guidelines.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the architectural guidelines, please? Councilor Musker.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Schwader, for putting this all together. Looking at some of the comments in the survey and whatnot, and I don't know that there was any confusion on our part, but there seemed to be responses from the public regarding this architectural guidelines potential policy affecting residential development, and that is, of course, not the case. This is strictly commercial and industrial. I was expecting more responses, 39 responses, but it is what it is. Interestingly enough, and my computer's a little slow in loading here, so be patient with me. On question 1, and it's just pulling up here, we had all close to 60% support, and as my computer is taking its time, oh, there it is. Overall, to what extent do you support architectural guidelines in Rocky Mountain House? Almost 60% support, either strongly or somewhat. Question 2, if you could scroll for me, please. How important is it that new commercial or visible development reflect the town's historical theme? About 55% thought it was important, or very important, or somewhat important. But some of the comments regarded how this could be preventing development in the town. Now, we've had architectural guidelines already since, you said 2011? Yeah. In your experience, has that affected development at all negatively when this comes up with developers or builders, or have they said, yeah, no thanks, because that's just going to cost me too much money, or I'd just rather not? Like, what's been your experience with the voluntary policy?
As far as developers or builders, we haven't really had a whole lot of comments because they were voluntary, and we just kind of suggested to them. They didn't say this is going to be that much more cost for me to develop, because that's not what they were planning on doing anyway. So as far as a whole lot of comments, there hasn't been a whole lot.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Stalker, did you have something like that?
The question was
Okay.
encompassed.
Councilor Musker.
I do have more comments, but I'd like to give my colleagues an opportunity to weigh in.
Okay. Councillor Shippletoe.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. So it is voluntary at this point, and I think the discussion we had back in the day was, do we want to have more teeth in it and maybe make it where it's not voluntary, but it's a must? I guess where I'm at is those developers who develop are going to, and if we give them this document, it's only suggesting what goes on. And I look around town, some people build something and they add a bit of this to it, and some build something and they don't add anything to it. And I think the question for this council is, do you want people to build or do you want people not to build? Because if it is a roadblock, then I would like to maintain it as is and stay status quo, and accept this as information.
Councillor Muscat.
Thank you, Mayor. In the package here, it mentions a portion from a notification we got regarding Bill 28, the Municipal Affairs and Housing Statutes Amendment Act 2026, enabling growth in affordable housing. It's regarding community design codes. So we've all read this. At the bottom of this, what do municipalities have to do? Details on the processes, rules, requirements, and implementation of community design codes will be included in a forthcoming regulation. My recommendation would be that we hit pause on this until the province comes up with what they want to see happen in this. So I would like to make a motion to that effect, that we just accept this for information.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion at this time? Then the motion is on the table. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Swayze. Our next item is 8.3, tax recovery public auction.
Good morning again. We have 3 properties that are coming up to public auction. So basically, any property that becomes 3 or more years in arrears, we're required by the MGA to hold an auction for them. And these ones in question would be, we have to hold an auction prior to March 31st, 2027. Some comments under communication. If this proceeds, we will be posting the public auction notice in the Alberta Gazette on September 15th, and it would be advertised on October 7th in the Mountaineer. Our property tax coordinator has worked with these property owners extensively. They've been given opportunities to enter into payment agreements, but either did or did, some of them did, some of them didn't, but defaulted. So we just don't have any other choice other than to move forward. We're looking at, we would hold the auction on October 26th at 10 a.m. We set a reserve bid. We usually do it based on the assessed value of the 3 properties, which are shown below. And then there's some qualifiers as to how we set the conditions for the auction. Just it's being sold as is, where is. And I'm not going to go through the qualifications. There is a map of the 3 properties. One is on 51st Street. One is on, I'm not sure what street. 51st, oh, that's 51st Street. And the other one is on 50th Street. Is there any questions? And, oh, just to know, if they come in and pay the arrears prior to the auction being held, it would be taken off of the auction.
Councillor Sinclair.
I just have a question out of curiosity with the assessed value of the one property versus its current listing value. It's it's listed for $450,000 on Realtor.ca right now, but the reserve bid's gonna be $540,000. I just don't know how we're gonna compete with that.
Yeah. I don't know if we're required to do the assessed value. I mean, we've always used the assessed value in terms of making sure that it's equitable, especially if we're holding an auction that the owner doesn't really have, I mean, they've lost the ability. So they could still sell it, I mean, on their own.
Sure, so under the MGA, we have to put it up at what is considered a fair market value. So to do that, we go by the assessment. The owner of the property can put it on the market for less. But we can't use that as our guide. If our assessor says it's 540, we can't say it's lower than that.
Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Mayor. My question's for Ms. Quinlan. The arrears includes penalties?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Shippold.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. Down the road, I'm concerned about liabilities to the town, and once we start a process, could there be a point in time when we're compelled that these properties become the ownership of the town of Rocky Mountains? Because one thing I don't want to do is become the owners ever of these properties. I don't think the town's in that business. I just want to make sure we don't get ourselves into starting a process that it compels us down the road to take it to step 2, step 3, to step 4, where once we get to a point where we end up owning these properties.
Mr. Groves.
Yeah, Mayor, to Councillor Shippold, there's no requirement anywhere in the MGA that we have to take ownership. So if we go to reserve bid, there's no bids, then it'll come back to council. Then the next step is, do you want ownership or not? And then council would choose then, but there's no requirement that the ownership is taken over by the town. It's just that the taxes just keep piling up.
Good to know. I am at the understanding we have a residential lot now that we've took that hasn't sold. Is that not true in
No.
Creekside?
No, we never took ownership of that lot. In fact, it was our recommendation to council not to take ownership.
Okay.
And we have not.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Anything further? Okay, let someone make the deputy mayor.
Thanks, Mayor. Be it resolved that council approve the tax recovery public auction and direct administration to proceed with advertising and holding a property tax auction on October 26, 2026 for the properties identified as roll 1390000 with a reserve bid of $221,000, roll 3030000 with a reserve bid of $273,000, and roll 3190000 with a reserve bid of $540,000.
Any final discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call a 10-minute break, please. Okay, thank you. We're back online. Welcome back. Our next item is 8.4, business license bylaw.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, I can start.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus.
Yeah, so through council's strategic plan, one of the council's strategic goals was for administration to constantly review current bylaws and make sure they're up to date and relevant to the different levels of legislation. So administration reviewed the business license bylaw, and it came up for that some revisions were required, mostly because there was also a policy adopted in 2011 that also dealt with business licenses. So looking at that, that policy should have been in bylaw. So the major change in this bylaw is actually to bring that policy into the bylaw. So just going through the proposed changes, spelling change, license with an S was changed to license with a C for the proper use of the word as a noun. Deleted is the definition of conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is now a criminal code offense, so our bylaw has no jurisdiction in regulating that. In section 11 in the new bylaw, the requirement for buskers have been moved from the policy into the bylaw. Oh, I missed one, sorry. Section 8H, for clarification, it has been added to the bylaw that anyone under the age of 18 does not require a business license for items like shoveling snow, babysitting, or whatever, so that just provides clarification. In section 12 and 13, the requirements for for-profit events have been moved from the policy into the bylaw. The same for 14 and to 19, the requirements for mobile vendors have been moved from policy into bylaw. Section 20 to 41, the requirements for business license for patio and sidewalk sales have been moved from policy into bylaw. Again, in section 44, the appeal process has been updated and clarified. So if a business license is denied, the applicant can appeal to council within 5 days of the refusal, and establishes timelines in section 45 for when the appeal has to happen. The bylaw is drafted as council as the appeal board. Council can discuss whether council is comfortable filling that role. If you look at other municipalities, sometimes it's just the CAO who would make a decision. Or in another bylaw, we actually have the taxi bylaw, I think it is the police committee that actually acts as the appeal board, but that's not really their role either, so I don't know if they're comfortable with doing that. And then in section 47, if council maintains them as yourself as the appeal board, your decision is final and binding. And we have removed a section about the prorated fees in the bylaw because that is set in our fees and rates bylaw, so that's just a duplication. And then Schedule A has been updated to match the draft bylaw, which is the fines. So if council has any questions, be more than happy to try and answer them, Councilor Shipple.
Councilor Shipple.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. So a couple questions, several. Item 3. So this is the appointment powers and duties. So it says the CAO shall appoint. And I'm wondering if the terminology should be the CAO himself or who he appoints. Because in this case, you've got somebody else and it doesn't put it back on the CAO. And a lot of times the jurisdiction, I think, does lie with the CAO on this stuff. So I'm just wondering if the wording on number 3 should be changed to add the CAO in there. I just asked for your opinion on that one.
So just Just, I'm not quite understanding the
So what I'm
question.
suggesting here is that you're gonna appoint somebody to look after licenses. And I'm wondering if that statement removes you from, if somebody has a concern over a license, if they can't come to you, if they have to go to ever who you appoint. And so I'm just wondering if the wording shouldn't say the CAO himself, or something in that terminology, or whom he appoints as the licensed inspector. Because when I read that, I go like, if I got a problem with the license, I have to go to ever who you appoint. I can't go knock on your door. And yet, you're the one with the significant amount of jurisdiction, I would think. I just think when I read that statement, it removes you from the mix. And I'm not sure you should be removed from the mix. I could be wrong.
Even if it just said may.
Yeah, just the terminology in that number 3.
Well, I guess you could reword it, the CAO and/or delegate shall be the licensed inspector.
That would make me happier, because I think that I just wanted to have you as a backup person if somebody has a situation. The next part that I have a concern with is there's substantial change in this bylaw when you add all the policies to it. And when it becomes a bylaw, it's a law. And so we have all kinds of mobile vendors that are kicking around town. You know, at the trade fair, or even this last weekend with the rodeo going on, we had stuff going on at the ATB, the Co-op, Henry's Western Wear, all at the same time. And under policy, that is, you could do that if once you put into bylaw and they need permits. And I just wonder if we're being too regimented in controlling what happens for mobile vendors or things that are just going around in our community on weekends, if there's an event going on. When I read this, I'm going like, bylaw means you must do this, you have to do that, whereas policy gives you a bit of discretionary use in there. So the question is, do we want to get this regimented in how we monitor things going on in our community?
The reason why the policy was placed into the bylaw, because if you look under the MGA, it says a council may by bylaw establish licenses, fees and stuff. So it should have been in a bylaw to begin with back in 2011. Now, and so we just moved the policy over to the bylaw. For one comprehensive document versus 2. But that doesn't mean council can't amend this bylaw to make it softer, if
That's what I'm looking at. I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have just a softer touch with how we deal with mobile vendors. I mean, there's 2 pages about mobile vendors in there, pretty much black and white, you know. And when I read that, it was like, oh, this is pretty regimented. Maybe we just need to tone it down a little, is my thinking. I mean, when I read the first line under the comments that came in there, and it said, the business license provides reassurance to the public that businesses follow the rules and regulations, including zoning, health, fire, building codes, and public. Like, I don't see that at all coming out of a business license. I see that coming out of a development permit or building permit. So really, the county doesn't have business licenses at all.
no.
Which we have business license, and then in here, it appears the business license fee is going up 25%. Is it not? Is it going up? Because I was under the impression it was $75, it's going to $100.
No, there's no change.
There's no change to
There's
that?
no change.
Okay.
No, but that is the purpose of a business license, is you are telling our public when they walk into a business and see the business license up there, that it's meeting all municipal, provincial, and federal regulations to operate that business. You don't necessarily need a development permit. Like
So-
you could sell, I'll give you an example. A tattoo shop sells. The new owner doesn't need a development permit. But he does need a business license, he or she. And to get that business license, they would have to meet all the requirements of the provincial legislation and health to operate that business.
So this is another one of those areas that's 50/50, because under, a landlord doesn't need a business license. Under Section 8 of this document, no license is required by landlord. But yet, we have some situations out there that if we're worried about health and safety and all the rest of that, this should be a place where we would implement business licenses to ensure that, but we don't. So the question is, when I say 50/50, yeah, some do and some don't. And so if we want to have consistency, should we be looking at removing number 8 and landlords require business license? I'm not advocating for or against that. I'm just saying there's inconsistency in this bylaw and that's an example of inconsistency.
And from my understanding, the history of the business license in town, at one time landlords were required, and then council made a decision to remove it, and that's the way we are today. So that's a council decision.
You're totally correct. So the question is, if what you're saying is the mandate of business license gives us some controls over making sure and ensuring to our citizens that they all adhere to the laws. And then Section 8 says, but if you're a landlord, and we get complaints about landlords and what's going on, and we have zero control, should we be adding that as a business license?
That would be a debate of council.
It would definitely be a debate of council. I'm wondering if we should put that maybe to our strategic planning session in the fall, as to having a debate about that, if it should be implemented or not.
Any further thoughts on the matter at hand, or what Councillor Schiphol has brought forward? I certainly think it'd be worth a discussion, Councillor Schiphol, at the fall meeting.
Okay. So are we gonna change number 3, that the statement in there about the CAO being involved, or somehow tweaking that line? And are we gonna look at maybe toning down some of the sections of mobile vendors? Or do you think it's just okay the way it is?
Well, it's working now. They follow the requirements that were in the policy, which is now in the bylaw. So it's working. I don't think we've ever received a complaint from, the requirements in there, so that's up to council, I guess, so.
Your worship, if I
sorry.
could just speak to that a little bit. We work with AHS. So one of the things with business licensing does go to AHS. We provide a list to them of business licenses. And so if it's a mobile vendor or somebody that's providing food service, or one of the things that's listed where it requires Alberta Health Services approval to operate, it provides a notification to Alberta Health Services in that regard. And then Market on Main, we don't do separate licenses for all the vendors at Market on Main, because Market on Main operates separately. But Alberta Health Services does do inspections, and we also work with fire as well. And yeah, same with landlords, actually. So if a complaint comes in, sometimes Alberta Health Services may may get involved, and oftentimes there is communication between ourselves and Alberta Health Services, just to give you information on that.
Anything further? Mr. Coso, do we go, oh, I'm
I just
sorry.
want to ask Ms. Hartling one question. So, under the same vein, AHS is the governing body, and you provide that list to them. Should there be a concern, you would reach out to AHS. If I was a landlord and you had a complaint from a tenant, would you send our local inspector over to maybe take a look at that property?
Just through your worship to Councillor. It would depend on the complaint. So if it was a complaint about, for example, there not being a proper egress window, we might get fire involved and Alberta Health Services. And then that's just in regards to health and safety, right? So Alberta Health Services also has requirements. If it was something regarding, I don't know, unhealthy, like an unhealthy bad water or something like that, we would definitely work with Alberta Health Services for them to go and do an inspection. There have been situations where we've also had a building inspector attend a site following a complaint, and that's to ensure that, a bedroom has to have an egress window. So we've had, we might coordinate several, like a fire inspector, building inspector, and Alberta Health Services to go to a site to respond to a complaint of, safety.
Thank you.
Sometimes it might just be Alberta Health Services. It depends on the complaint that comes in.
Thank you. Councillor Shippold.
Question for Mr. Kroos. Can we move ahead then with this bylaw and do the approvals with the tweak to that number 3? Or do we have to make the tweak to number 3 and then move ahead approving the bylaw?
No, I think council can, it's a pretty minor adjustment, so if council's comfortable, it'd be just be it resolved that council give first reading to the bylaw with the amendment to section 3 to state the CAO or delegate shall be the licensed inspector.
I'll still make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Shippold.
Would we give it all the readings right off the get-go? Okay. I made the first, so
Deputy Mayor?
Be it resolved that council gives second reading to business license bylaw 2026-13.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Musker?
Thank you, Mayor. Be it resolved, the council give unanimous consent to proceed to third reading of business license bylaw 2026/13.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Sinclair?
Be it resolved, council give third and final reading to business license bylaw 2026-13.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Stalker?
Be it resolved, the council rescinds temporary use of the public property policy 004/2011.
Thank you. Any final discussion? None? All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Our next item is 8.5, which is Chief Administration Officer bylaw. Oh, Councillor Shippold, sorry.
thank you, Mayor Boniface. Prior to that, do we need a motion to put the, okay, so I'll move that we add to our strategy and procedure, whatever the meeting is in the fall,
SAP plan.
SAP meeting, that we add discussion relative to business licenses for landlords.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Now, 8.5. Mr. Kraus.
Thank you, Mayor. So at the last council meeting, administration brought forward some changes to the MGA under Bill 28, and one of those was the natural person powers and the CAO responsibility. Council asked that the CAO bylaw be revised to incorporate those changes that are in the MGA to make a comprehensive document. So that's what's being presented to council today. Going through the changes, so 5.7, so this subsection mirrors the MGA with the requirement to notify council of the use of natural person powers subject to the exceptions. 5.8, this subsection establishes the requirements of subsection 5.7 and also applies to council committees where council has delegated authority. The police committee would be a prime example of that. Section 5.9, this again follows the MGA in how and when the CAO must notify council. It lists the exceptions when notification is not required, which mostly reflects our daily operations, emergencies, and protection of staff privacy. In reviewing the entire bylaw, we've updated section 5.13, where it used to say FOIP, which is now POPA and ATIA under the new provincial legislation, so that has been updated. And then finally, in section 10.1, this has been amended to repeal the two current bylaws, 2024-06 and 2024-14, into one comprehensive one.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. Any questions concerning this item? Deputy Mayor.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. Be it resolved that council give first reading to Chief Administrative Bylaw 2026/14.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Councillor Boniface.
Be it resolved that council give second reading to the Chief Administrative Bylaw 2026/14.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Sinclair.
Thank you, Mayor. Be it resolved that council gives unanimous consent to proceed to third reading for Chief Administrative Bylaw 2026-14.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. And finally, Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Mayor. Be it resolved the council give third and final reading to Chief Administrative Bylaw 2026/14.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Our next item is correspondence for action. First is 9.1, AB Muni's 2026 resolution book. Mr. Kraus.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So the AB Munis conference is coming up, and council will be voting on the resolutions, and the resolution book was just issued last week. So it's included in council's package for review and any discussion, perhaps on any resolution that council feel strongly for or against. So I'll leave it for council's discussion.
Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Schippel, please.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. So, there's a couple of things. I read through the resolutions, and they're pretty awesome this time. There's only a couple that are really, questionable. One of the things is that we're seconding the second motion, so unfortunately, Mr. Mayor, you're going to be up before the mic at the conference again. Number 8 I found interesting, and so this had to do with the resolution by the town of Stettler. And In their resolution, reading through that, one thing they talk about is a commercial market analysis. I'm not sure if we have such a creature here or not. But in there, it talks about Stettler has 47.9% of the population, but 80% of the jobs are within the town of Stettler for the area. That's what they determined in there. And I thought that was kind of interesting as to the amount of jobs in Stettler versus a population breakdown. So that was interesting. And the other comment in there, the other notation, in terms of provincial granting, and we always complain about how provincial granting is went backwards. In 2009, Stettler got $635 per person. In 2023, they got $327, half of the government granting. And so in that resolution, they're just saying like, hey, how do we survive when you've cut us back this much over the years? So, but reading through all of them, I think there's a good read in there in terms of information. But back to my question, Mr. Kraus, and that's about the commercial market analysis. Do we have that information for the town of Rocky Mountain?
No, not to that detail. And am I missing a study, Ms. Button?
If we do, it's very dated. And I'm not sure, but I do recall something, I want to say 12 years ago, with a joint initiative, town and county, but I can't recall the details, what it involves. But I could find it and get it to Mr. Kraus.
Okay. I mean, if it's that old, it may not be worthy of anything, but when it talks about the population versus the amount of jobs, I thought that was pretty unique. And I think in talking with the county, sometimes we don't know what that number is, and so what is the impact that the county has on the town and vice versa? So just thought it was an interesting number.
Thank you. Any further questions? Mr. Kraus, what's,
Mayor, you can just accept it for information if council has no questions.
So in regard to the Muni's handbook, I'd like to make a motion to accept it for information.
thank you. All in 1 second.
Just to comment to those, so there's one item in there about fines and the process of fines written in our community. I think we get 75% right now or something like that,
It's,
or
60,
68.
60, yeah, 65 or something.
And so they're advocating it's going to go down to 18% over a period of time. And so there's a resolution talks about trying to keep our revenues up with our SMP. Our SMP costs are going up, but our revenues are going to go totally backwards down to 18% over a period of time. And so there's a resolution about that. And then C4 is another resolution that has to do with the auditing processes. Municipalities are saying that they want a more cut and dried process in terms of audit process, and how when we have an auditor come into our room and gives us information, they don't give it all to us because there could be internal stuff going on. This is to make it more regimented in terms of us getting all the information relative to good and bad that may happen within our municipalities. So I think that's another move in the right direction. So anyway, the motion's on the floor, so thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody need to hear the motion again? No. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Our next item is a letter from town resident. Mr. Kraus?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So we have not yet responded. We don't have an address, but we can look it up because it was dropped off as paying a utility bill. But we can respond to some of the items that were brought up concerned. We are actually grading all the lanes now, so it just was in a cycle. So we have taken care part will be taking care of that. Well, the roads we're always working on. The third paragraph is a question about paying school tax. If you don't have children in school, we can respond to that for council. The fourth paragraph is, I guess, a question to council. And then the last paragraph on the four-way stop, and we have reviewed that, and if we put one there, it'd be probably more frustrating for the drivers than anything, because it'd be stop, stop. It's continuous, so we can respond to that also. So, or we could draft a letter for your worship or mayor to sign. But if council wants to give input on the fourth paragraph regarding the rec center, or we can draft a letter for council's consideration.
Does anybody have any response they'd like to make to the letter? Councillor Shipple?
I think Mr. Kraus, in terms of his indicating he could give us a letter and we can respond to that prior to sending it out, I think that's the way to go. Just drop a letter, have a read on it, and then we can do that likely through email, Mr. Kraus? Yeah. So I'd make the resolution and the motion that we instruct administration to do up a preliminary letter for council's approval and forward it via email for approval, and then forward it to the resident.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Next is Rural Health Professions Action Plan Conference. Councillor Shipple.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Boniface. So I added this to the agenda prior, and I added it because Councillor Boniface had indicated that she'd be interested in attending this. I'm not sure about the cost, because it'd really only be for hotel rooms and the per diem. So where I'm at is, if Councillor Boniface still wants to go, then we need to have a motion that we allow her to go to this, and the costs would then be paid accordingly. So I'm not sure how council feels about that. The driving is already picked up. I'm going to that, so this will just be somebody coming with me to that. So, and I would support you coming. So now with that, there's a council meeting to be missed because it's the first meeting in October that it conflicts with.
Councillor Stalker.
I did have a question in relation to the cost. I know we discussed it before and it's gone out of my head. That breakdown, what is the major expense in that breakdown? Like 23 to 2,900?
If I may, Your Worship?
Please.
The difference is, you'll notice that the first one is Councillor Boniface joining Councillor Shippold. So that's why it says to drive with Councillor Shippold, 0. And then the second one is if she drove alone, it would be an extra $623.76 based on our expense.
Anything further, Councillor Stalker?
Sorry.
Councillor Shippold.
If there's no comments, then I'll throw the motion on the floor and see if it's got any push, and that is that Councillor Boniface, should she so choose to go to the RPAP conference in Peace River, that she would do that, and the fees accordingly would be picked up.
Thank you. Any final discussion? Seeing none? Oh,
Just for those watching at home, what's the benefit of sending both councillors?
I think just for knowledge purposes, there's some breakout sessions that you can go to, and so and knowledge. I think the big thing is just learning what other communities are doing to attract. So, can one
Likely.
person do it? I mean, yeah, one person could do it.
But you and I both know at these conferences, there's often more than one breakout session at a time.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe
Correct.
having more people in the ground is better. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor?
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. I just wanted to comment, that although the price may seem a little steep to send to, I think this is one of the critical components that we're trying to address is healthcare within our community. So I think it's great value to try and meet those levels and really tap into this.
Thank you. Any final discussion? Counselor Boniface?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to add that I think Councillor Shippelt and I have quite a diverse background from each other, and so it's nice to have two different views from different spectrums of this area. And I think we would complement each other very well with the information that we both could pick up at the same time.
Thank you. The motion's on the table. Does anybody need it reread? No. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. The next item here is 9.4, 9.5. I have a 9. Land stewardship. Yes. Okay. Mr. Kraus.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So council has received an invitation from the Stoney First Nation to attend a land stewardship camp, which is great news. It's strengthening and building on our relationships that we have been building on with the Stoney First Nation. It looks quite intensive over a few days, so I will leave it up to council, but I think they have offered, it could be just one day or how many days any as council wishes, so.
Okay. Any discussion? Counselor?
I would like to see some of us go. I'm sure I could spend a day or two up there, if that is something that council would wish. Or a day up just to drive and spend a day there, at least something. I think it would be very valuable. We haven't had connection with Good Stoney since we first started, so it'd be good to have a little bit of a repeat. So if anyone else could join us, if we go up for a day, then I would offer a ride. We could joint ride up to there for the day, if that was something that anybody else was interested in.
Counselor Soccer.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. I just wanted to bring our attention to, it's August 17th to 20th, and today's already the 18th, so if we are going to do something, it'll have to be tomorrow or the next day.
Is there any, Deputy Mayor?
I might be able to clear my schedule tomorrow, but I am in Red Deer on 20, so I'll follow up with you. Thank you.
Counselor Shippelt.
Also make a resolution that anyone who wishes to attend the land stewardship camp do so.
Great.
And to communicate with other councillors to carpool if at all possible.
Okay. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. The next item, 9.5, that was added. Counselor Shippelt.
Thank you. I added 9.5. It was an email that we received from our local detachment commander relative to the convention coming up in September in Edmonton, whether we want to have an appointment with all the RCMP administration. So the RCMP are always at the conventions, and they're setting up different municipalities to go for different reasons. And so we've been offered an opportunity to attend with their leadership. Understanding what's happened in Rocky Mountain House in the last couple of months with the sheriffs and all the rest, I think it may be advantageous for us just to go there to say, hey, here's where we're at. You know, we really do have a interest in how we spend our money within our community. So I think what we should do is, the opportunities there, that we should go ahead and talk to them. I don't think we've ever talked to the leadership of the RCMP in the province, so this would be a first as far as I'm aware. But so what I'd do is I'd make the motion that we proceed with setting up a meeting with our with the RCMP at the convention and go through our commander here in town.
Thank you. I think it would also be a very good idea for us to take part in this. Would you make the motion then, please?
I did.
Pardon me. I'm sorry. Councillor Stalker, did you want that something? Okay, motion is on the table. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Next is a 9.6.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Boniface. So 9.6, I just added, there was an email came from the Demo Derby folks looking for someone to say a few words on behalf of the town at the Demolition Derby. And so I just bring this forward under correspondence for action. I'm hoping that someone might be available to go and speak. They've told me that they've invited in the past, and other than once one mayor showed up, it's been crickets. So anyway, they've sent an email, and I'm hoping that somebody has available the time to go and say a few words on behalf of the town at that Demo Derby.
I'm available at that time, and I'm happy to attend and speak on behalf of the town. So,
Okay, so can you do a follow-up then to that email, just to let them
Yes.
know, and then, okay, great, appreciate that.
no problem.
Thank you.
Do we require a motion, Mr. Gross?
I also make a motion that the mayor brings words from the town at the Demo Derby at the end of the month.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. That's all the correspondence for action. Next is correspondence for information. Is there any questions arising from these, please? Seeing none, could I, Councillor Musker? Did you have something you wish to ask?
I just had a single question in relation to the minutes in Westview Lodge, and under 5.3, it was moved that they accepted a 5% COLA increase. I was wondering if that increase was a one-year increase, or is that a compiled increase? Or do we?
That I do not know.
I don't know if it's appropriate to even ask, other than. Yeah, that's what I wondered. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we accept agenda items 10.1 and 10.2, correspondence for information.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Next item is mayor and councillor reports. Again, very, very quiet time for us all, really. I think all of us attended the kickoff meal for the Chuck Wagon, and I was very appreciated that they had invited us. And other than regular council meetings, there really hasn't been very much happening for myself. Anyone else? Councillor Shipple?
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. I had a couple things. I met with Annie at the hospital just about some hospital things, and she's basically now done at the hospital. Her contract is up, and so it was just about how the hospital will proceed there after she's leaving. The hope is that she'll come in on a maybe one-day-a-week basis just to, for that. And I stopped at Anwar at PCN, and the Kickstand program has been. They got past the first hurdle for approval, so it appears now there's the final stage to get approval for that program. So that'll be advantageous to our community for adult mental health. And then toured a new doctor around last Friday. That turned out really well. And I'm touring another doctor around this Friday. So 2 doctors, and hopefully, the doctor I toured on Friday, I asked him if they were looking at other communities, and Rocky Mountain is the only community they were looking at. So They looked at what we had to offer and what was here, and so hopefully, they'll come from Nigeria, and the doctor's here on Friday is from Iran or Iraq or something like that. So anyway, we'll see where we get to. We do have some interest lately with doctors looking at Rocky Mountain also.
Excellent.
So hopefully.
Thank you. Anyone else? It must have been slow for all of us.
Sorry?
Counselor?
I was just doing a little celebration of our doctors interested in town and kind of lost track of what I was doing. I just want to remind you, because I still have the housing study on my mind, because it's still open until the 20th. I don't know how many people have signed into it yet, but more the merrier, and here's your chance to have your say on any housing in Rocky, so please sign up on that study. And Market on Main has been amazing. And the Filipino community has also got us another chance to sample more of their lovely food on the 28th. But other than that, that's been a quiet month too.
Thank you. Anyone else? Can I get a motion to accept reports, please?
I'd like to make a motion to accept reports for information.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Next is administration reports. They were all sent to us. Mr. Kraus.
No, thank you, Mayor. Yep, so if council has any questions.
One question and one statement. Did anyone happen to notice that the top speed on 54th Street was 101 kilometers? That's crazy. I noticed there's 13 calls for unsightly properties. Just a quick definition for me, is that just like lawns not mowed, or does it also encompass maybe unsightly stuff laying around?
If I may, Your Worship. Councillor Kalin, it could be a variety of different things. So there's occasions where it could be long grass. Could be occasions where there is vehicles, debris, you name it. It's a range of unsightlies. We never have one case that's the same each time. It's different.
Thank you.
Councilor Musker.
Thank you, Mayor. It's regarding the engineering and operations report. Down on the capital projects, it's the final lift for the industrial area, budgeted at $450,000, awarded to Border Paving. It's at $297,645. My question is that the final tally? First of all, and if so, well done.
Yeah, so that would have been the budget, the 450 would have been the budget for 2026, and the tender came in at 297.
Yeah, so that's $150,000 savings there. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Well done.
Councilor Shipple.
On the same topic, same place, Border Paving went in and did the one manhole cover. There's still 3 manhole covers that, when you drive over them, they're significant. It says here that completed with manhole and valve touch-ups. So I'm assuming by that note that it's perceived as completed. I would question that, if it is completed or not, because there is 3 that are substantial when you drive over them. So I just don't know if that's the...
Yeah, I'll have to follow up with our engineering. Just
Okay. An observation, I see that the wayfinding signs have all had a modification made to them. So they're not blowing in the wind, and one's aiming east and one's aiming west, and they've now got a bracket on the end to hold them in place. So that's a good pickup to rectify that. And then lastly, it talks about the streetlights on Main Street, the tree lights on Main Street. And so I went down Main Street to have a look at how many of the tree lights are working. And unfortunately, the number's like a dozen. So I just think they need some tender loving care. I'm not sure if maybe people kick the plug-ins out or what happens there, but there's a significant amount of them that are black at night, and some of them are lit, some that aren't. So I'll just leave that with,
We'll look in,
yeah.
I'll look into it.
Counselor Stalker.
Thank you, Mayor Bonifest. I had a question in relation to the Main Street concrete and repair of the planter. Is that being recovered through insurance, or is this an additional cost? Like, I noticed there's a couple of caps off in places, so I was wondering what that
So,
was.
two questions there. So
Yes.
the damage one, we're still working through insurance with it, through our insurer to the driver's insurance, so we're still in that process. And then we will be replacing the caps that have been broken off on the other planters. Yeah.
Thank you. Counselor Sinclair.
I just have two questions. One with the speed sign data. Do we have, I can only assume that these devices are quite aged now or something, or do we have a maintenance cycle for them or a replacement program?
They are checked. We don't have a replacement program. That would go into the capital budget if council wanted those replaced. But our peace officers do check.
Like,
check
I
them
mean,
on a
swap
regular
out
basis.
batteries and stuff or things, I don't know.
So
Okay.
I think we identified was getting a little
Yeah.
off. So
Yeah, 75th
two,
Avenue.
Ms. Breeze just indicated, so we are looking,
Okay.
addressing that.
And then I had one question. The Welcome to Rocky Mountain House sign on the north end of town. I don't know if it's been rectified. I did just in passing mention it to our staff. I'm like, oh, can you check it out? Was the lights don't work at night. I don't know if it was a thing with the landscaping maybe, because I know they were working there a few days ago, but just have that checked out.
Thank you.
Anything further? Deputy Mayor.
So, after all those inquiries, I'd like to accept administration reports for information.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Our next item is action list.
Thank you, Mayor. So we only have one open item, and it was half dealt with today, so that's amending the CAO bylaw, which was done today. And then amending the procedural bylaw for council inquiries, and that is scheduled for September 1st meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion about the action list? May I get a motion, please? Counselor Stalker.
I move the action list be accepted as presented.
Thank you very much. All in favor? And that is carried. Next is administrative inquiries. Are there any administrative inquiries today? Seeing none. Notice as a motion. I see none. Then I will call a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and go into closed session, please. Thank you. We're back. We need to go into closed session. May I have a motion to go into, Deputy Mayor?
I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session, please.
Thank you. All in favor? None is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're back. We do have a few motions coming out of closed session. Counselor Shipple.
Thank you, Mayor Boniface. I'd like to make a motion that we enter into a 3-year agreement with a 2-year option to use Baker Tilly as the town's auditor.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. The next motion is from myself. I would like to instruct administration to invite Rocky Senior Housing Council to a special meeting, hopefully before the end of this month, to take place in council chambers. Is that sufficient? All in favor? And that is carried. You're last, sir.
I'd like to move that the CAO I'd like to move the CAO dialogue is accepted for information purposes.
Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. I believe